Alright everyone, so today I am going to complete the 9.1 homework 1 with you. So if you will go back to Haiku and make sure you download that worksheet, you can complete these along with me. So we are adding and subtracting fractions, and you have a foldable for this. So go ahead and get your yellow foldable out for adding and subtracting fractions. Pause the video if you need to. And as I said, I'm going to do 6 problems with you, and this should help you complete the 9.1 homework 2. So again, you're going to open up 9.1 homework 1, and then this will help you learn how to do the homework 2. Alright, so when we're adding and subtracting fractions, our denominators have to be the same. So if you look at this one, our denominators are not the same on number 1. So what you have to do is take a factor of each. So if I have x plus 2 and then x minus 5, then your LCD would be x plus 2 and x minus 5. So you would come down here below this and put a parentheses, x plus 2 and x minus 5, and x plus 2 and x minus 5. You're going to do that twice because you have 2 fractions. So then you say, okay, well, how did I get from x plus 2 to this fraction, to this denominator? And I multiply by x minus 5. So I would multiply my top by x minus 5. So I would have 3 parentheses and x minus 5. And then how did I get from x minus 5 to this? Well, I multiply by x plus 2. So I would have the top, which is x plus 1, and I would multiply by x plus 2. Okay, and then I'm adding those. So again, you multiply by the one you're missing. So if this changed to this, then I multiply my top by x minus 5 because that's what I did to the bottom. All right, now you can go ahead and add these now because your denominators are the same. So you would have x plus 2, x plus 5, and then on the top you would have 3, x minus 5, and then you would add x plus 1 times x plus 2. So again, let me reiterate this. These are binomials, so they both go in parentheses. Because now at this point, you have to simplify the top. So if I simplify the top, I'm going to come down here, I would take my 3 through, so it would be 3x minus 15. And then I'm going to take this x plus 1 through this one. So that would be plus, because we have a plus here, an x squared plus 2x. We get the x through both of those. And then the 1 times x is x plus 2 over x plus 2, x plus 5. All right, and now we clean up the top. So my x squared would be by itself, and then the 3x would go with the 2x to give me 5x plus another x is 6x. And then we would have negative 15, and then plus 2 is negative 13. Over x plus 2, x plus 5. Right, now when you're seeing this, we're almost done. We have to check to make sure that this won't factor. So if this will factor, it might cross out with one of these down here. But if you try to factor this one, you can't. So that would be your answer. You just leave it like this. You don't even have to FOIL the bottom. Just leave it as it is. All right, let's move on to number 2. All right, and number 2. This one, you have x and then x minus 2. So notice that you have an x and then another x here. So in your LCD, your least common denominator, you would just need one of those because once you have one of them, it completes the LCD. You only need one for it to be a multiple of that. Now you also have to have an x minus 2 because you have this one. Okay, so x minus 2 would go on the bottom as well. All right, so Again, this x is in both of them, but I only need it in the LCD once. All right, now, what changed from this denominator to this one? X times x minus 2 and x times x minus 2. Well, nothing changed, so I do not change the top. And then x to x times x minus 2. This is what's new. I multiplied by that, so x plus 7 is a binomial. So I'll put it in parentheses, and then I multiply it by x minus 2. And then, again, this is an addition. So now, once I do all that, you can see the LCDs are the same. Or the denominators are the same. So I have x times x minus 2 on the bottom. And then on the top, I would have 4x plus. And then I would distribute the x, which would be x squared minus 2x plus 7x, and then minus 14. And then I would simplify. I'm going to come down below it here. So this x squared would be just by itself. And then you have 4x minus 2x is 2x, plus 7x is 9x. And then I would subtract 14. Then I would have x and then x minus 2. All right, again, you have to make sure this top does not factor, because if it will factor, it might cross out down here. And to get this, let's see, I'd have to have a negative 14, so I'd have to have an x and an x, and to get a negative 14, one would have to be positive and one would have to be negative. And if you tried this, you couldn't do it. You might think of 7 and 2, but you have to get 9 there. And if you had different signs, there's no way you could get a 9. Okay, so that would be your answer. So this is where you would stop. Okay, all right, let's do number 3. All right, again here we have an LCD or a denominator that those are not the same. So I'll have to have an x minus 3, and I have to have an x minus 1 in both of those, because those are different. And how did I get from x minus 3 to this down here? I multiply by x minus 1. So I take the binomial x plus 8 in parentheses, and I multiply that by x minus 1, because that's what's different from here to here, so I have to multiply the top and the bottom by that. And then from x minus 1 to here, I would multiply by x minus 3. So I would have x minus 2, again that's a parentheses because it's a binomial, times x minus 3. And now this one's a little bit different because it's subtraction. So when I'm putting these together, I have my bottoms are the same now. So x minus 3, x minus 1. And then I would have x squared minus x plus 8x minus 8. I got that by taking the x through and then the 8 through. And then I'm subtracting. Now notice here on this one, when I was adding, I didn't put parentheses here. I just put addition and I multiplied. But here I'm subtracting this answer. So I have to put a parentheses there because I have to subtract everything in there. So that would be x squared and then minus 3x minus 2x plus 6. Okay, so I have to put a minus there, and I have to put a parentheses because it's a minus. So now I'm going to clean that up a little bit. This and this would go together, so I would have x squared plus 7x minus 8. And then if I distribute the negative through, I would have negative x squared plus 3x plus 2x minus 6 over x minus 3, x minus 1. Remember to distribute the negative and distribute it to all terms, which changes its sign. Now let's put those together. So x squared minus x squared, those would go away. 7x plus 3x would be 10x, plus 2x would be 12x, and then negative 8 and negative 6 would be negative 14 over x minus 3, x minus 1. Now you should notice on the top, again, I have to try to factor those. 2 will go into both of those. So if I pull a 2 out, I would have 6x minus 7. Now, since it factored, that's great, but it didn't cross anything out. So either one of these would be the right answer. I prefer the second one because you can actually see that nothing is going to cross out. So you have to go here anyway to make sure nothing will cross out. Okay, let's get the next one. All right, now this is like our, I think it was number 2. The LCDs, you don't have the same down here, but you have x plus 6 and x plus 6 in both of them. So that only has to be one binomial. You only have to write it once in the denominator because one time takes care of both of them. So I'd have an x plus 6 and I would have an x minus 5. And then another x minus 5. That's your LCD there. Now, how did I get from x plus 6 to this one? I multiply by x minus 5, so I'd have 3x times x minus 5. And I would take away, what did I do to get from here to here? I didn't change anything. The order's different, but that doesn't matter because it's multiplication, so I just subtract 4. Now, my denominators are the same, so I would just write that once. And now I would just push these together. It would be 3x times x minus 5. And then I take away 4. Now I have to distribute this, so 3x squared minus 15x minus 4 over x plus 6, x minus 5. And then what do I have to do? I have to try to factor this. So this one might not be as obvious as some of them, so let's try it. I need to get a 3x squared, so 3x and x are my only options there. And then to get a 4, I could put 4 and 1 and negative and positive, but that's not going to give me negative 15. I could try to switch those, but that's still not going to give me negative 15. I could try 2 and 2, and that would not work either. So this one is not factorable either. So that's my answer. This one right here. Oh, sorry about that. This is my answer right here. And that's it. Now let's go to the next one. Oh, here it is. Number 5. Okay, so this is a good one because x squared minus 9, I hope that is something that you would think, hey, I might need to factor that. So before we get the LCD, we're going to factor. So the tops are going to stay the same. This x plus 3 is going to stay the same because it doesn't factor. The x minus 10 will stay, but this bottom, x squared minus 9, would factor into x plus 3 and x minus 3. So maybe you realize why it's so important to make sure it doesn't factor there. Because what do you notice? I have an x plus 3 in both. So my LCD would have to contain an x plus 3 for both of these. One will do it, and then an x minus 3. Okay. Now how did I get from x plus 3 to this down here? I multiplied the bottom by x minus 3, so I multiply the top by x minus 3. And then this one didn't change, so I'm going to have an x minus 10. So now if I put those together, I'm going to come down here to have more space. X minus 5, x plus 3, and then I have a binomial here, but it's a plus. So I don't have to really put them in parentheses because it's a plus. It doesn't hurt if you do. Either way will work, but that's only because it's a positive or a plus sign. Now let's clean this up a little bit. So I would FOIL this, so I'd have x squared plus 3x minus 5x minus 15 plus x minus 10 over x plus 3, x minus 3. Let's clean it up just a little bit more. I'm going to change colors. X squared would be by itself. 3x minus 5x is negative 2x. Plus x is negative x, and then I have negative 25. Now once you get here, you do need to try to factor the top. And that will not factor. So that would be your final answer. Okay. All right, and the last question. This one you can see has x squareds in the bottom of both of them. So before you start doing this, you're going to have to factor, because if they have a common factor, then you only need that once in your LCD. So the x plus 4 would stay the same, and then x squared minus x minus 2, that would factor to this. And then minus x minus 1, and then this one would factor to x plus 3, x minus 2. All right, now your GCFs, or not your GCFs, your LCD. So I'll have an x minus 2 in both. So x minus 2 would be in the LCD, and x minus 2 would be over here as well. 1 will be fine. I also need an x plus 1. And I also need an x plus 3. So how did I get from this one to this one? I multiplied the top, x plus 4, a binomial, so I put parentheses, times the x plus 3. And then here I have an x plus 3, x minus 2, and I multiplied that by x plus 1.
I thought it was.
It's the next one
Right.
to your left. Yes, you're welcome. So, sorry about that. Someone walked in. So I have an x plus 3 and x minus 2, and I multiplied the x minus 1 times the x plus 1, and I would subtract. So now your LCD, your denominators are the same. So you'd write that once and then push these together. So I want you to try to do this one without me. Now remember, this is a subtraction. So when you subtract, you have to get this FOILed out and then take a subtraction sign through all the terms. All right, and we'll go over that one together when I get back.